Now then, welcome. Thank you for downloading or streaming this podcast. Please be advised, this podcast contains strong language, banter of a sexual or racial nature that some viewers may find offensive. If you are easily offended, please do not listen to this podcast. Spank your... One of the reasons why I do this podcast is because A, I don't get out the house much, and B, it builds my self-confidence. So every time you guys send a donation or an affiliate or buy something via the affiliate link, as cheesy as it sounds, you really are making my days that bit brighter. To see how you can help the show, simply check the show's show notes.
He got a bicycle! You wanna play 21?
We got it for you, nigga!
Jesus!
Jeff Harvey.
I've been in the danger zone.
Minus 5 stars.
How much is this guy weigh?
Oh, God. I don't know!
Look at the adjective.
Holy shit! And it's decided that my computer really doesn't like the software that I'm using in order to record this show. So, brilliant. That's all good. That's fucking nice to know. Thank you very fucking much, computer. Hello. How are you? This is the Ever Makeba podcast. Fox Spots. Covering the week of... I always have to get my notes up. The 26th to the 29th, I believe. We usually... we cover... We see we as in I. So Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and Impact Wrestling. It's usually a shorter show than the actual pod itself, but I have my reasons for that. Particularly this week, in the regular show, we're looking towards the end of 5 years hungry. Shit. Sorry, that the software really caught me off guard, so I'm a bit stuttery. Because when I started to record before, I was ready. Now a nigga ain't ready. The nigga's got all fucking... Oh, I'm all fucking 6s and 8s. Motherfucker. Anyway, right off the bat, I want to talk quickly about Extreme Rules. It's basically the card everyone expected. There weren't many highlights, many things that I cared about. In fact, if I'm looking back at it, the only match I cared about was the Nikki Bella Naomi match, but a couple of matches surprised me. The Ziggler Sheamus match was really surprising, only because of that finish and the lead up and the build up to that finish. You kind of get the idea, you kind of get the feeling that they're building Sheamus and hopefully Ziggler as well, because everybody loves Ziggler. I have my moments with Ziggler. I think I like him more as a seller of things. I'm not overly crazy about him feuding, but the Sheamus thing, this might be actually quite interesting, and also the story being quite close to home, so to speak. You know, talking about the size of a man, and I think it might be something to go on now that Daniel Bryan is injured, which brings me to once again my concerns about Daniel Bryan. Now, he couldn't make the card on Sunday for being injured. What kind of injury? I don't know. Maybe that's me not doing my research correctly. But there's something wrong with Daniel, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if anybody knows what it is. I mean, I think I was reading an article on the WWE website, and which one? There's Nikki and Brie. Brie, yeah. So Brie tweeted he's on the road to recovery, but I can't remember reading anything about where the injury actually was. Now, you may recall, round about this time last year, Bryan was injured, and it was only, I think it was a week into the feud building for Money in the Bank, that the Authority decided to strip Daniel off the belt, which, you know, seeing how long he was injured for was absolutely fair enough. You know, the fans didn't like it, but I'm going to be honest with you, I'm beginning to give less and less of a shit of what the fans, particularly the guys in the audience, think. Although I will say something quickly, no one pre Big Show Reigns cared about that match, but they were eating. Those boys were. The audience was eating out of Reigns and Show's hands. So I actually tweeted them at the Foxwhat THEFOXWOTWOT saying, I don't care about that fight. And those boys just fucking, as far as I'm concerned, that might have been the best fight of the night. So, you know, I think it's good to have that kind of thing with the audience not caring and then just completely just smacking it out the park. I remember a couple of years ago, Randy Orton and John Cena did that, and I believe it was the Royal Rumble. They were stealing each other's moves. They were just beating the shit out of each other all around the arena, and the fans didn't care. And I think I've always said that that's a fucking travesty, because that match was the best match that they'd done in that ridiculous feud. Every time those two fight, it was even better than the unification match. And those guys just booed them out the building. So, in that sense, I get really irated with the audience. And this is the PG audience, this is the IWC, and this is basically anyone who's paid their money to go and to cheer or to jeer the talent that's on offer. The thing is about, I've said this before, the thing is about the WWE is that it's a fucking galaxy within itself. And the problem of that being that thing being larger than life is there's always going to be people who don't like it and dislike it for short-term purposes. They don't see the bigger story. And I think a lot of the times, as much as I hate Vince, him and creative are clearly building things for future purposes for us to say, oh, that was awesome. I mean, fucking Miz winning money in the Bank, you know, that allowed Miz Girls to happen, and then that was a huge fucking you know, that was a huge viral thing. I think in certain things and in certain aspects we really should be looking towards the future and acknowledging the present. So this is why I'm really concerned about Daniel Bryan and how long he's out for, because I'm counting 3 weeks now. If it gets to a period where we're about Payback needs something to build up a feud for the IC title, then we're going to have to talk about stripping him again, if I'm being honest. And, you know, maybe Bryan should find or start looking about alternative ways to create and to have a role in the WWE rather than him wrestling full time. Because if it's a case of him coming back for a period of time and getting injured, do we really want to be putting this guy's health at risk? Fuck the wrestling, fuck the fans, you know, fuck the love of wrestling that this guy has. We need to start talking about his health, because if he's continually getting injured the way that he is, how long is it going to be? How long is he going to be wrestling for until he he's making like an edge like decision whether to retire now or to wrestle for a bit, and then after a period end up in a fucking wheelchair. I really am concerned for Bryan. So I'd strip him of it this week, if I'm honest. So Monday Night Raw, I'd strip him. I would strip him of the title. I would review his health, view the options he has for the future, because he's like, I think he's 2-3 years older than I am. So, I mean, there's guys mine and Daniel's age who are fucking chubby, middle-aged, retiring men. I'm talking about guys like Prince Nassim. Remember him? Ronaldo. Fucking Ronaldo. Look at Ronaldo. I absolutely feel terrible for Ronaldo. I mean, he could have been something of ridiculous legend. Anyway, no, I'm just really worried about Bryan. This is not, and I think he should be stripped of the IC title. This is not because, I'm not in touch. I'm not affiliated with any sides or anything. I just feel it's the right thing to do. Protect the talent. Speaking of talents, let's move on to the treatment of foreigners in the World Wrestling Entertainment. Now, it's called the World Wrestling Entertainment. It's based in America, yes. I think there's a number. Actually, I'm not even going to try. But there's a number of nations that fight in the WWE. Emma is Australian. Cesaro is Swiss. Hideo is Japanese. Obviously, you've got the Brits in there. Paige, Bad News Barrett, Neville. I think there's another Brit that I'm missing. William Regal. Canada. There's a couple of French guys, and I don't know what their names are. But there's even just that moment there. We're talking about two plus more countries other than America and Canada. So when we have this Rusev John Cena thing, and you have country versus country, to me that's completely alienating. And frankly, I'm imagining there's a couple of people behind the curtain who are really insulted by this culture, not to mention the poor Russian wrestling fans themselves. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you going to honestly tell me that you are a Russian wrestling fan? Oh, by the way, Rusev was originally booked to be from Bulgaria, which is the, if I remember correctly, it's, I think when there was United Russia, I think Bulgaria was around those kind of parts. So it was a part of Russia. So I don't know what the relationship is between Bulgaria and Russia. So you have this character that was Bulgarian, but is now being billed from Russia. So, I mean, I'm going to be honest. If I was Russian, I would be so angry with that as itself. I mean, what's wrong with Russian wrestlers? I remember Vladimir Cruz, or whatever his name is. I mean, the way that guy was built up to begin with, he was a fucking tank. Forget where he was from, nationality-wise, he was a fucking tank. And then Triple H wrestled him, and then it was turned into a fucking triple threat match with Matt Hardy. I believe this was 2007. 2008. This is when they had the Cyber Sunday pay-per-views, or whatever it was called. And I remember that match. It was originally one-on-one, so Vladimir versus Triple H. But for some unknown reason, that got turned into a triple threat match, and it was like, oh, there's someone running in on this match. That's okay. Completely throw him into the mix. It's bullshit. I kind of get this annoying feeling that every once in a while Vince whispers something into creative's ear, and we have these kind of feuds. I think like Nation versus Nation is almost like creative saying we've got nothing for you. I feel in that sense, those kind of feuds are insulting to the international wrestling fan. Never mind the United States, never mind Russia itself. When we're watching a fight for United States Championship belt, we're watching it as fans. We're not watching it as people taking sides from nations. It is extremely alienating as a product to have these kind of feuds. And for the past 2-3 weeks, it's really fucking almost to a point. It's just completely turned me off to watching the WWE product. To see this fucking feud go on as long as it has done. And actually, the more that I think about it, it's not even about the John Cena having the belt. Do you remember when Rusev had the belt, and it was week after fucking week after fucking week after fucking week that we would have these feuds fueled on Nation versus Nation? I've got an idea for you. Why don't you let Rusev win the belt back, and then put him in a feud against Neville? Then do your fucking Nation stuff then. We'll see how you fucking have that then. Because Neville is a guy that has ridiculous pop at the moment. And obviously Rusev, if Hitler was wrestling now, he'd get heat for wrestling with John Cena. To me, that would be a smart booking. But I feel that we're not going to see that until after Money in the Bank. If we're talking about Money in the Bank, let me quickly put it. So 6 guys, yeah? Roman Reigns, Kane, fucking Dean Ambrose. I got that right this time, didn't I? Dolph Ziggler, Neville, Rusev. Hopefully I got that right this time. Because the Royal Rumble, I said Seth Rollins when I meant to say either Roman Reigns or Dean Osborne and Dean Ambrose, because my mind just dies like that. But the long and short of it is, it's a worldwide organization, so stop cutting off your audience by making Nation versus Nation feud. That's it. Talking about things that... No, I'm not even going to lie to you. Basically, I've got notes for this week. Basically, I just want to try and keep myself on track. And another thing that's come up is the return of Tough Enough, and everyone's really excited about this. Yay! Apparently, it's going to be more social networky-ish. It's going to have some elements of reality TV, which automatically I'm like, no, thank you. But the more that I think about it, the more I've completely given up on that kind of stuff as a genre anyway. I didn't watch TNA Boot Camp, neither of them. Certainly won't be watching the Diva search thing, which, by the way, am I the only one here that's slightly concerned? I've just got an idea, by the way, about having Diva search and having Tough Enough. I still actually hope it still goes along. I personally feel that if you're going to do that, then make Tough Enough for the guys, or at least the women who don't want to be in that bracket of WWE Diva. By the way, Paige, Anti-Diva, continues to be called the Diva of the Tomorrow. I'd love to ask if that absolutely drives her nuts. So yeah, no. I feel that there should be different packaging on both of these things, but not necessarily on at the same time. Interestingly enough, we heard the announcement of that. I believe it was WrestleMania. They were talking about new shows for the WWE Network, and that was called up. And now there's this Tough Enough stuff, and it's just kind of got me thinking. Well, that's great and all. It's great television, and it's obviously the perfect fit for the WWE Network, which you can buy for 2 rubies and a packet of Skittles. But my concern is looking after the talent after the show, and this has been my problem with the genre of reality TV since I wised up. It's the reason why I stopped watching the X Factor. It's the reason why I just generally stopped watching television. It's because, it's great that we give this talent the exposure that it deserves, but we really, as a community of fans and a group of people who love, the business that the reality TV show is in. For me, it's performing arts. For the WWE, obviously, it's wrestling. We really need to start talking about looking after the talent after the shows. Here's a fact you may or may not know. As of April 2015, The Miz, Ryback, and Ryback was eliminated if you remember correctly, and Cameron, who was also eliminated quite early, are the only participants from Tough Enough over the past 15 years who are still competing in the WWE. And I'm going to be honest, the more I see of Cameron, the more I feel that her time with the company is on very, very thin ice, put it that way. Oh, by the way, I don't know if there's going to be time to talk about this, but the feud with Wyatt, because my mind's forgotten how to fucking pronounce his first name. I think it's a great idea. Initially, I thought Wyatt was going to go after Orton, but the way they're doing it so far, it's actually quite interesting. This is Ryback is someone that apparently hurts people. Apparently, he's a bit of a dangerous wrestler. Now, to the best of my research, it's only been one person that says that, and that's CM Punk. And if you want to know the crack with me and CM Punk in terms of what I think about him as an athlete, check out Max Wrestling's podcast on Sunday. Which will be the 3rd of May, and I'm just gonna tell you straight. If I hear CM Punk's name come up, I'm just gonna straight shoot on him, and that's all I'm gonna say on that. There's a number of former Tough Enough personalities. Some of them aren't wrestlers anymore, but some of them are still very passionate about the wrestling product, and a lot of them have done other things since Tough Enough. I believe there was one diva who actually I think either she's a supply teacher or she actually is a teacher. I can't remember. But I mean, you look at guys like Matt Morgan, you look at guys like Josh Matthews, you look at guys like I'm missing someone. Who am I missing? Maven, who actually won the fucking thing. A lot of them are no longer with the company, or a lot of them are, a lot of them are doing other things, or there's a few of them that have outside of the wrestling business problems, which means they won't be able to lace up their boots ever again. I'm talking about guys like Maven, who got, I believe the term is DUI, and has problems with mental health and alcohol and all that kind of stuff. Now, it was good that the company brought him back to give him the help that he needed, but sometimes prevention is better than cure. Once he left the company back in the days, I don't know what the policies were, but considering he was he was a WWE superstar, no longer a talent development person, they really should have looked after him. I mean, you look at guys like Scott Hall, you look at guys like look at people like Sonny, people who the company continually, rehabilitate. Why wasn't some of that money and why wasn't some of that support offered to the smaller talents? Here's an interesting question I'd like to pose. Would Test, Andrew, I can't remember his second name, but would Test still be alive today if he got that kind of support from WWE? Did he get that support? Or did he get a certain level of it? I mean, these are the kind of things that I kind of think to myself, yeah, Toughen Us Back, that's going to be awesome. I'll probably watch clips of it, keeping to my reality TV mentality, but afterwards I will be looking to support the guys that made that show what it is. In one way or another, it has to be like I always say on the main show, any kind of relationship I have, it has to be chemistry based. So I'm hoping there's going to be a couple of fit bitches that I want to look at the tits, a couple of great male wrestlers who don't make the final pick, who have massive chests so I can stare at their tits. There has to be chemistry between those types of people for me to continue to support them. So, like I said, that's why I'll be watching the clips, and that's why I'll be perving at the divas. Now, I want to talk about Night of Knockouts, which was the Sunday show of TNA. I know there's a lot of people. This might be one of the more controversial shows that they've had, because it actually received a lot of positive feedback on the Twiddles. As always, guys, if I'd love you guys to join us on Sunday viewing of Impact Wrestling on Challenge TV, 9 o'clock. Hashtag your comments at oh my god, fucking brain. Hashtag Impact Wrestling UK. No, dude. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have a glass of water. Motherfucking Impact UK. That's the fucking hashtag. Join us every Sunday at 9 on Challenge TV. After Impact has finished, a couple of us still hang around, but I still encourage you to use the hashtag Impact UK. But then after 11 o'clock, I want to change it to WTTV, which is the follow-up show after Impact, and also it's another wrestling show on Challenge TV, and both of these things combined on television cost you a grand total of nothing. So all you really need to join the conversation is a Twitter handle, which is easy as piss to make. And in fact, you don't. Do you need a television? Is there ways of streaming Challenge TV? I need to research that. I did actually look for that a couple of weeks ago and I couldn't find it. So maybe you do need a TV. Sorry. And then there's a couple of people out there who don't have televisions anymore. In the broadcasting sense, obviously you have a television or some kind of screen in order to watch stuff, but you don't watch broadcast television. So fuck off TV licensing. It's not even a case of having a TV anymore. Shit, everyone and his mother's got a television. The thing is that you're going to have to start seeing if people are actually watching broadcast television. And in my case, the answer is mostly no. But I do watch Impact Wrestling. I mean, shit, if there's people in Manchester, near me, let me come round to yours and watch it there. Anyway, I'm fucking running away from the point. Fucking hashtag Impact UK. Join us every Sunday at 9. Why was that segue so fucking tricky? Why? Why does my brain decide to do certain things at certain times? Why does it decide to, my brain is a fucking troll. Fucking cunt. Anyway, Night of Knockouts. It got a lot of great positive feedback from a lot of people, but I really had an issue with the card. I think it was either last year or 2 years ago. I watched the I can't remember if that card was called Night of Knockouts, but there was a one night only which featured the knockout division, and also it had some girls from the indies as well. Sierra. They gave a couple of girls some debuts as well. Desais, I can't remember if I've pronounced it correctly, but she's now wrestling in Libra Wrestling. I think it's called Libra Wrestling. Actually, no, my brain's died again. But it was just literally just stacked. From beginning to end, it was all female wrestling. So when it was announced last week, I think I mentioned this as well. I was hoping for a similar product, like from start to finish, female wrestling. In hindsight, thinking about it now, there were certain things from previous weeks. I was talking about the world title, Eric Young and Kurt Angle. I want to talk about that quick. In fact, before I forget, this is another reason why I really don't like what happened on Sunday. I was looking forward to watching. I was one of the few people on the hashtag Impact UK that was actually looking forward to Kurt Angle and Eric Young. But what we got instead was, I say what we got instead, but what we got instead was Austin Aries against Kurt Angle, which was a no contest due to the run-in with the run-in of Eric Young. I believe A-double is now inverted brackets injured because of the heinous actions of Eric Young. So that's going to write him out of story for a bit. And I've also noticed that the match is now billed between Eric Young and Kurt Angle as a stretcher match, which is, I don't have a problem with that, providing that they don't fuck us in the ass again. Fool me once. So I mean, there were certain things that needed to go on that card. So the title picture. No, that's really it off the top of my head. If I'm thinking off the cuff, that was the only thing that needed to be a running theme. And also, another problem was we were promised the debut of the Dollhouse, rather than just one half of the Dollhouse wrestling against Cherry Bomb, who now I'm going to start paying a bit more attention to. I mean, I had my eye on her anyway, because I like following fit female wrestlers. In fact, I like following anyone involved in the wrestling scene. So I know she's doing a couple of things for CZW. Jesus! She's also doing a couple of things for Shimmer. Or is it Shine? I always get those two fucking organizations confused. But she's she's good at what she does. And shit, I'm really running over time, aren't I? Okay. Yeah, I was really disappointed. I was disappointed with. We got 3 matches. On a 2-hour show, but there was about 3 or 4 other matches that were not knockouts. And the thing is, I said this last week, the female division in Impact is the best female division in the world. It's the most established. Even more so with the inclusion of the Dollhouse now, because Maya Yam is actually a veteran. I mean, she's been wrestling for about 15 years now. I remember watching a couple of her matches with Hayley Hatred. She did a couple of matches with a couple of other people, and I can't remember right now. But she's complete. She kind of has, and she kind of hasn't changed the persona, but she was very smiley. She was very energetic. This Jade Bird, I have no idea who she is. I need to do some research. I can do some research now and actually not get punished for it, like I did with the actual stable itself, Dollhouse. That feels like a really big weight off my shoulder. I just wished they could have had more female wrestlers, bring in a couple of old faces, bring in a couple of women from development. I'm pretty sure TNA still has a development part, but I don't know what it's called anymore. I believe the former development was OVW, which is, I think it was Ohio Valley Wrestling, I can't remember, but they had some really interesting wrestling there. I believe there was a ladder match, a female ladder match, and I think you're gonna have to try and find that on YouTube if it's still up. But that was really entertaining. So I was kind of hoping for something like a mix of genres, a mix of skills, but what we got was just like 1, 2, 3. That was it. And the thing is, another thing about it is, there was so much hype and so much packaging about it being a night of knockouts, and it was just like 1, 2, 3, done. Apart from actually the main event, which actually will be mentioned in the Fox's spot of the week. I need to work on a title. I was going to talk about the return of King of the Ring, but I'm running way over time, so I think I'm going to draw it to a conclusion. To be honest, there's not much to talk about King of the Ring. I liked that it was given a spotlight on Raw. It would seem the conclusion of that King of the Ring was concluded on the WWE Network, which is again great strategy in terms of A, nostalgia, and B, just hooking your audience into making sure that they are paying that Krispy Kreme and Atari to 600 in order to watch the WWE Network each week. So that was good. If it is a WWE Network exclusive. So, in conclusion, we shall talk about the Fox's spot of the week. I had to pause while I was... What the fuck? God damn it! Okay, I have no idea what the fuck that was. Apologies. As I was saying, I had to pause because I forgot my fucking sign out. But spots of the week. So we're going to talk about honourable mentions, and the honourable mention I want to talk about is Neville's beautiful flip over the rope. I can't remember what the move's called because my brain. But he lands on one knee, and this was to Badness Barrett outside of the ring. It's always nice to see those kind of things, but to land perfectly on one knee, or your feet is quite impressive. So I have to give a shout out to that. The second shout I want to give out for honourable mentions of Fox's spot of the week is the Roman Reigns Big Show fight, where it had where Roman Reigns at the left side outside of the table, outside of the ring, set up two tables, and you kind of had an idea that this was going to be the finish. There was a couple of teases. There was a tease that Roman Reigns was going to use his power to scoop slam Big Show onto the tables. I think there was another spot where it looked like I think it was either Big Show or Roman Reigns was going to powerbomb one or the other into those tables. But I was watching it tonight, and I couldn't see this spot coming. I couldn't see it coming. I had to fucking rewind it a couple of times. The reason why it's not the spot of the Fox spot of the week is for reasons I'll go into in a minute. Roman hits Big Show with one Superman punch, still on his feet. Second Superman punch, still on his feet. And in the top left corner of the ring, there's another table set up. So you think either it's going to be a reverse whip and Big Show's just going to choke slam him into that table, or powerbomb or wherever him into the table, or Roman Reigns is going to just straight spear him into the table. None of those options happened. We got Roman Reigns gearing up for another Superman punch. Big Show counters it, choke over the neck, turns his back. So now his back is now facing the back in the table in the corner. Picks that sumbitch up, choke slam Roman Reigns through two tables. And the reason and Reigns actually managed to get up after that, and the match went on for a long period of time. But the Fox spot of the week is actually features the TNA knockouts. I swear to God, it's not a thing because I fancy them. It's simply because it was well done. It's the spot of Awesome Kong and Terran Terrell. Holy shit, I managed to pronounce it correctly this week on this show. Watch me do the fucking podcast on Sunday and not be able to pronounce the bitch. Anyway, so yeah, it's a no disqualification match, which is the closest we're gonna get to a hardcore match with the TNA Divas, which is a shame. But No, actually, it's not a shame because we got what we wanted. We got a fucking hardcore match, and it was hardcore. There was kendo sticks, there were tables. The only thing we didn't see was chairs, but I think chairs are beginning to be phased out due to everybody's worried about the wrestlers' heads. To a certain extent, it's understandable. As a fan of ridiculous violence, it makes me sad. But to be honest with you, when I watch a Brock Lesnar fight, it kind of makes me appreciate the bumps and the violence that he does in his matches. So anyway, Terrell brings a table into the corner, and she tries to go for the Terrell cutter onto the table, and it's countered by Kong. And I think Kong was going to... I can't remember how it was. I think Kong actually knocks out Terrell for a bit, and Terrell lays on the table. And I think she was going to go for a... I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called a Samoan bounce. I've completely forgotten. But the dollhouse interrupt her with a couple of kendo sticks, fucking ribs, lower back. Terrell gets off the table, and in almost Shield-like style, we see a triple power bomb to a God knows how many fucking pounds, let's say 250-pound woman, into a table. And needless to say, that table is fucking, I don't know, rest in PD pies. The absolute destruction of this woman, this beast of a woman, and I mean that in the respectful sense, going through this table via triple powerbomb from 3 women that probably weigh what Awesome Kong shits, was impressive. I to be honest with you, as soon as I saw it, I said, that's my spot of the week. And that is my spot of the week. Next week on the show, again, as always, I promise nothing, but next week should be the anniversary. I know I said this last week, but because we're in May, it should be the anniversary of 5 Years Hungry, The Hunger Within. So on this week's show, we'll be talking about the soundtrack and what things started to go wrong with the show. But next week, we're going to be talking about the piece itself. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube. It's going to be public on other things, and it's going to be like my baby being released into the world all over again. So hopefully, I'll be able to talk about my fears next week. So now that the Fox Spot is done, please remember to join me next week, because next week I'm going full force.